Welcome to Set Apart Homestead. This is Travis here at the Prepared Homestead. Thank you all for watching. Today I have maybe a different video, although not really that different. I think for some it might be seem like some crazy out there theory, but it could be one of the more important videos that I've ever made, and it's something that's always been a passionate subject to talk about, but I finally decided to make a video on it. And who knows, it's such an important thing that we need to be talking about with all the things going on in the world when it comes to our government, our culture, our civilization, that I might end up making more than just one video on it. Before I get started though, just again I want to thank you for stopping by and watching. If you'd want to go ahead and click the like button and the subscribe button there below, I'd sure appreciate it. Also, a site that I rarely ever mention because I don't want to sound like I'm just pushing for you to buy something, but I do have a website called preparewithtravis.com. You can go there and get all kinds of survival and prepping gear, but most importantly, some really great long-term food storage products, freeze-dried and dehydrated products in number 10 cans. That stuff for a while was really hard to get a hold of. It's still in high demand, but the companies, or some of the companies, and this one is one of them, that's starting to kind of catch up. So if you're interested in that type of stuff, preparewithtravis.com can take care of pretty much any of those needs. All right, so are we the new Rome? I mean, that's been something we've been called for many, many years, and I think that's a good name, a good title, a good phrase for the United States is the new Rome. And in a lot of ways, we have probably impacted history and global history and humanity and just civilization probably every bit as much as Rome did once, and maybe even more so. So referring to the United States as the new Rome, I think is quite. I think it's a good phrase to use. But is the new Rome falling? And many of you probably for years have referred to this and compared Rome versus the United States and how Rome rose to power only to collapse, not because of foreign invasion necessarily, but to collapse from its inside out. And we've compared America to that's what's happening. Well, folks, that is actually quite common of any empire. And America is very much an empire. And as much as I am patriotic, consider myself very much a patriot. The harsh reality is that this nation, this government that we live under cannot continue. Historically, it just cannot. At some point, something will have to change. And it could be a good way of changing. It could be done in a peaceful way, much like the British Empire became, just kind of the United Kingdom, or it could be a complete collapse, much like the Roman Empire, where it fell apart to the point that other nations just kind of gobbled it up. And so that's kind of where we want to talk today, because I think that it's quite important for us as preppers. For those of us that are believers in the book, to remember these types of things, because history does repeat itself, and those of you that don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. I mean, that's just an inevitability. There was once a British general named John Glubb, I believe was his name. I'm probably going to butcher his last name. And he wrote a book of the rise of empires, and he had detailed in that book through a lot of research that the man had done. He was a general back in like World War I, World War II. Also was considered a traveler, an inventor, and an author, and a man that filled many hats. but he did a lot of research on the history of empires, and how they start to deteriorate and what leads to their demise. And if you go back and you read this book, there is such a scary similarity to the path that the United States has taken and where we are today, that I think it's definitely worth something to listen to talk about, and to read the book. So one of the things that he talks about in the book is that virtually no empire has ever lasted more than 250 years. And I believe there was one that lasted like 264 years or something, but most of them last between 200 and 250 years. And we are at the 246-year mark here in the United States, so keep that in mind. Most all empires go through periods of colonization, of empire building. There's these different steps that he lined out. And the last of those steps is basically it's decadence. It's where we are today, where everyone or many people are obsessed with sex and perversion, and the thing that is the greatest achievement of society is just having so much of something that this lavish lifestyle of glut and that we see all around us, where the celebrities, the things that society looks to as to emulate, is just this gluttony of wealth and of things. This is something that is happening right now in the United States. Also, the collapse of our currency, the military becoming less and less disciplined. And I'm not saying this to offend anyone that's currently in the military, but you must admit that the military is not what it once used to be. Let's put it that way. Where we raise up and glorify people and give them celebrity status and make them famous for being famous. Reality TV. We make million and billionaires out of athletes. This kind of stuff is very common in an empire that is in the process of collapsing. And I think that's what we're seeing today in the United States, where we see all the stuff that's going on. That's just, it seems like every day it's overwhelming. It's more and more and more. And even for those of us that are preppers, that are kind of in tune with how things work and where it's probably going to end up, even for us, it can be quite overwhelming to take in all the stuff that's happening. I mean, right now, of course, the obvious is this, virus, and of course the rioting and the defunding the police and the racial tension and the violence, the really highly increased violence in some cities all over the country. But there's other things. Our very frail, our very fragile dollar is just about to collapse. I mean, we are on the brink of a complete financial collapse here in the United States. And it seems like most of the country is just oblivious to it. The Fed keeps pumping trillions and trillions of dollars into the economy, and we're already many trillions in debt. Gold values are skyrocketing, and silver. There are, and I cannot remember the name, but it's one of these top financial firms gave a warning to America's credit rating that it's kind of taken a hit. We were once, as a nation, had the highest credit rating as a nation, and now that's starting to slip. In fact, we're the only first world nation that credit rating has slipped a little. There's all this talk of the dollar collapsing. China is putting billions of dollars in developing digital currencies. The Fed is talking about digital currencies. Uh, just the other day I was reading an article that the meeting of Bretton Woods, and for those of you that are very in tune to this, I'm not going to go into the details of Bretton Woods. It was a meeting that was held back in the 40s that basically developed the IMF and the World Bank and a global currency that was never actually used. There's talk about having another Bretton Woods meeting to develop a global currency because they believe that the American dollar is collapsing. This is the type of talk that's out there. You have to kind of look for it. It's not front page, top of the news headlines, but it is out there. And I've told many folks recently, you think the pandemic is bad, you think the riots are bad, you think it's hard to get food when, everyone's rushing to the store stocking up on toilet paper. You wait until the US dollar completely collapses. You wait until our financial system completely implodes. You think it's bad now? It's going to be awful. We're talking 50 million unemployment. Highest unemployment this nation has ever seen. Where the debt and GDP ratio is completely, backwards. Our debt is something like 140 some percent of our GDP. I could go on and on and on. And folks, I'm no expert at this. I understand some of it, probably more than most, but by I am certainly no expert. But it's happening. And there's other things. There's threats from China. There's threats from Russia. And you know why there's all this saber rattling across the world? It's because they see us being weak. They see our weakness. It's like a pack of wild dogs, a pack of wolf pack. They see that weak one. And what do they do when they realize that there's one in their group that's weak? They attack it. They cull it. It's a natural way of culling it. And that's what's going to happen with us. What is the ending outcome of the United States? I cannot say. I don't know. But folks, I'm telling you, we have to be prepared. I used to think that it may not happen in my lifetime. It might happen in my children or my grandchildren's lifetime. I'm to the point that I do believe that we are going to start seeing, if not the complete collapse, definitely, the beginning stages of the collapse in our lifetime, in my lifetime, and I believe it's happening soon, possibly within the next few years, maybe less. And so I think that we have to do everything we can to get prepared. And I know that there's a lot of people, maybe not all my listeners. Some of you, most of you probably, get it. But I know a lot of people will say, yeah, but America's gone through collapse before. They always throw out the Great Depression. What about the Great Depression? We bounced back from that. We bounced back from, the race riots of the 60s, and we bounced back from the Civil War, one of the greatest, hardest times of American history, where we were torn apart and hundreds of thousands of people died. And we bounced back from that. So why can't we bounce back again? Well, this is my theory on it. And this is the reason why I think that we won't bounce back, at least not in the way that you and I would consider America bouncing back. And it's because of two things. We've lost our morality as a people, as a culture, and as a nation. And we've lost the pride in being Americans. Because you see, whenever we have gone through these great trials as a nation that has kind of set us back, or that has caused us to slip and fall and brought us to our knees, we've had our morality to help us to make the right decisions. And in the end, we also had our pride as a nation. We were proud of who we were. And those two things have drastically changed now. There is no morality anymore. Yes, you and I, we understand where morals come from, and we have them. But as a people, as a nation, as a government, they don't exist. Not only do they not exist, they have become offensive. Morality has become offensive in this day and age. And if you have any kind of moral foundation, you are considered a bigot. a hate monger, a racist, all these other terms that they throw out because you stand for some type of have a moral compass and a moral foundation. And so that right there is a sign that our nation is vastly different than we've ever been. There is no moral compass. Good, right, and wrong, that defining line between right and wrong has become disgusting in this nation. And so as we fall, we no longer have that foundation of morality to know where to pick ourselves up and when to pick ourselves up and where to go and how to go about it and to rebuild ourselves as a strong nation. We no longer have that. We also no longer have pride in who we are as a nation. The nation hates America. It hates patriotism. It hates the flag. It hates, the military. It hates the police. We are torn apart, and we hate each other. Okay, as a people, you see these people out there that just because one is a Republican and one is a Democrat, they look like they would nearly rip each other's throats out because of the amount of hatred, this vitriol that they have for each other. And while politics has always been divisive, and many other things in this nation has been divisive, I cannot think of a time that we've ever seen such a deep hatred to the point of using violent tactics against one another and not caring about that, not caring that there's another person that's a human, that they're a fellow American, not respecting the fact that they have a right to believe what they believe and you have a right to believe what you believe. Those days are gone here in the United States. Because of those two big factors, I believe that we will not pick ourselves up from the disasters that are happening right now and the ones that are looming ahead of us in the near future. We are no longer considered a Christian nation. People don't consider us that, a God-fearing nation, a nation built on biblical principles. And I know you can argue those ideas and the facts and history, but the point is that Americans have believed in that, and that has always been the mechanism of our moral compass. That's always been what has guided us as a nation, as the fact that we are based on biblical truths. And here we are as in this country, we're watching Bible book burnings happening. That's been going on in Portland, that they've been burning Bibles. They've been burning crosses. The satanic just vile and demonic worship of that darkness that's not just happening, but it's happening openly and it's praised here in the United States. It has definitely set us in motion for what I believe is the complete downfall and collapse of this empire. I know that may be hard for some to believe, and I'm not saying that I'm 100% right. It's just what I believe. Is there any way to stop it? It's probably not. You may be able to slow it down, but I really think that the things that have been put into motion so far, I don't believe that there's any way to stop it. This freight train is pretty much at full speed ahead in the wrong direction. So what does that mean for you and I? I say this just about every video anymore. You got to get your heart right. You got to get yourself prepared, your family prepared, and we can go through that in other videos. Get your family prepared and start working on reaching out to people within your community. I'm doing that here in my area of operation, trying to set up some public meetings for people that want to set up, MAG mutual assistance groups in my area. There's things like that you can do, because folks, I think that we are living in the last days of this nation. I think that there's a serious effort to change this nation completely from what it once was. And maybe that transition will happen smoothly and we'll just wake up one day and won't be the United States of America, or it could be that it completely collapses and crashes and burns into total anarchy and disrepair, and then there's this rebuilding of something new. But either way, I think the attacks that are happening right now on our freedom, on our foundations, on the moral fabric of this nation are so great that I am not sure that there is a way to stop it or to counter it. It doesn't mean that you give up. It means that it gives you really the energy to push forward even harder, because you know that only because of people like you may things change, and only because of your efforts and because of your dedication will your family be saved if things completely collapse around us. So folks, don't give up. Stay prepared. Your heart, your mind, and your family, because we are living, I believe, in the last days of this nation. All right, folks, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.